When people look at your social media, do they know you're an exciting, passionate entrepreneur who's thrilled to get up every day and build your business that makes change in the world? Or do they see something else? Morgan and Niall Ratcliffe founded their business on the idea that social media is your digital reputation. They're about to share how you can craft your social media to where people can get excited to follow your business and you as a person get engaged as customers and the challenges you are going to face when you try to go viral. Stay tuned. I want to take you guys back. So when you first started this, what was the first thing that you did for the Ratcliffe brothers that you put out into the world? Do you guys remember?
I was still at university at the time, and it was ironically like a perfect client, what we would say. It was a full package where we ran their LinkedIn and their newsletter, and they were paying us £1,000 a month, which was heavily underpriced for the package at the time.
Yeah.
And ironically, we delivered to a standard we never thought we could do possible. It was really like a trial run, and we knew the person prior, and I think in 2 months it was a 7.5x ROI he got, monthly recurring revenue he added, and we were like, oh shit, we can actually do this. We're half decent at this, and then from there it was, I think we signed 8 clients in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and at the start, complete lack of structure, and it was like we were just providing the ROI, but also we had no back end stuff. So it was a case of like we kind of ran before we could walk. So it was, we delivered, and then it was like, right, can we build out a system? Can we make this a business? So it started with the delivering, and then we brought the business behind it, which was interesting. But yeah, it was a fun start for sure.
Yeah, and when we started, that's all we knew is delivering, and we didn't know anything about running a business, and all we knew was how to put out good content and how to get people engaged and how to nurture leads, which is essentially just what we do. And yeah, when we started, all we were doing was getting out value. And probably for the first 3 months, all we did was focus on client delivery. I mean, it's still a main focus of ours right now, obviously.
Yeah.
But we were letting the back end of the business go whilst we just like made sure every client was getting the best service possible and the best ROI they could from what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was tough by invoicing, all those things. We had no idea what was going on, but getting people leads we never struggled with. So we were lucky and we figured it out from there, really.
That's awesome. I mean, I can see how you guys would be like, we've got something here. So you said that so for a lot of people, marketing, advertising, even putting a brand out there, they have a hard time relating that to ROI. So how did you guys know that you were getting that 7 times ROI? What were you tracking?
So there was a couple of parameters we were tracking with our first client, and the great thing about newsletters is that you get a bunch of link activity, and that was where I think it's about 50-50 split between LinkedIn and the newsletter. And with the newsletter, you could see essentially through an API, which means we just took the data from a call link on Calendly, and we could see who was booking calls with him and when, which ones came through the newsletter. So essentially, we could see how many calls we were getting, and it was just a matter of him letting us know which one.
Yeah, which was a bit of an honesty system at the start, because of course he could have said, oh well, I'm closing nobody, but people, when you make them 10 grand in a month pretty much, they tend to be quite happy and they tend to brag about it. So but yeah, like Niall said, it's a lot of clicks and a lot of different things in that way, and seeing who he's signing, and yeah, it was a great first experience for sure.
Some folks, when they bring on somebody like you guys, they really don't understand what the value in their message is at all. And so thank God you had someone who knew how to field those calls, because we've had clients where people are calling and it's like, oh, well, we had 20 calls this week. Fantastic. How many did you close? Oh, none. Why? How many people call that you close? What's your rate of closing?
This man right here, I tell you that, this man has got a close rate. Niall has got a close rate, and he never even closed before, right? Before we started the business.
I've actually never done sales. I think for the first 3 months, I think I had 2 calls out of probably 20 saying no.
People are false when you get on like sometimes when you're trying to sell, people are false and they bring it up and they're like, oh, and they try and sell you something, whereas we're just 2 northern lads. We love what we do and we know we're good at what we do, so we just come on just like this and we just riff it and we say like, look, this is what we provide, this is what we can do for your company, and he just took to it, right, and just signed.
Yeah, I think that's one big misconception about like the whole personal branding things that is sales, and my main focus more was, and with all our clients, is simply just putting our personalities online. And I think one of the reasons my close rate is so high on calls is that when they get on the call, it's the same person they see on LinkedIn, it's the same person they see in my newsletter, and it's just like, oh my God, this person wasn't just selling me, he was just being himself, he was just adding value online. And now they're on the call, all I'm doing is explaining what we do, how it could solve their problems in the least salesy way possible. And they're like, this is such a genuine person that even if they're not fully sold on whether we can get them an ROI, they're sold on me, they're sold on Morgan, and they'll come on board for that reason. And it's the same for our clients. And that's why they do close so many people and do get the ROIs, because we're putting out the genuine content that's them. So when people do get on the call, the conversion isn't really a problem anymore.
Yeah, people miss on that authenticity quite often. They try and be someone that they think they should be to try and attract clients. But the truth is, it's just about being yourself, showing what you got to provide. And we have a very relaxed style, and we think it works really well for the company. And a lot of people jump on calls with us and they say, well, I feel like I knew you before we got on this call. So massive for us, and it's really good, and it shows what we do works. When they come on, they say, look, we really like you guys, and I've never even spoken to this person in my life. So yeah, it's great, and it's a testament for what we've been putting out, and I think it's only going to grow really from where it is right now.
It's a special moment for a customer when you come into a business and you go, you're the guy from the video, I know you. And it does, I mean, it is kind of like a secret trick to get past this initial meeting. I don't know you, I don't know what you guys do, and I'm stunned at your writing style, because I don't think I have seen yet an article that you guys or someone on your team has written that has been salesy. I just don't think I've seen it. I'm stunned how it's personal stories, personal experiences, a little bit about me, and part of me goes, how the hell does this work? And the other part of me says, of course it works, because everyone else on LinkedIn is going, my business is so great. We just made $1 million, and we could do the same for you if you only give me your money. And it's like, I've been hearing this since I've been alive. This old-timey sales message, it goes back to the 50s. It's like, stop it. Like this whole, like, I'm a great success and I'll bring it to you. It's a great story, but the second that doesn't deliver, I was lied to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And ironically, I was going to tell you this before, you commented like last week on one of our clients' posts, and I saw it and I just thought it's so ironic. We were just talking about it, and then you connected with one of our clients without even knowing it, and it was a connection with one of those posts. I'll show you after.
I think that LinkedIn is starting to feed me your clients now, because it's like, I see all these like articles and they've got that similar style that you guys have, and I'm like, I bet this is a client of theirs. I wasn't sure what was happening for a while, but no, it's been fun to read and to kind of acclimate myself to that style. That's new for me. Do y'all know Shay Rowbottom? Do you ever see her stuff?
No.
She's big on LinkedIn, but she does kind of a lot like y'all do. Taylor is a big fan. He kind of turned me on to her channel, and it's personal stories. It's moments for people to connect in a low point, a weak point. So if you're struggling in a business, if you're not hitting the personal goals that you set, she resonates with people. And personally, good Lord, she's been getting so personal lately. I'm like, that's embarrassing for me to read. Like, can you not, like, can there be a little bit of secrets between us? This is still a business platform.
We don't do any of that at all. There's a lot of oversharing on LinkedIn, and we definitely try and find a balance, because people buy people. And when it comes to business, you really don't want to be buying that person who you see as like not unstable, for lack of a word, but you want to work with someone that you see as confident and good in their space, but also who's an authentic person. So finding that balance is important. You're right. Oversharing can definitely kill the account and also just kill someone's whole brand. But there's a balance where you become authentic and relatable. You're not this person with like, oh, I bought a Ferrari this week, I made $1 million this week, I've done this, I've done that. You become a real person, and then people reach out to you because they feel like they know you. And finding that balance has been obviously one of the big parts of our business so far.
It's a strength that you guys have for sure. So in that first offer that was bringing in ROI in 2 months, how much guidance did you have to give this client in the offer itself? Because I've noticed that some of the people we work with, they don't even know the value of their offer. And I say, why don't you say this? And they have literally never thought about it. I'm like, you've been in this business. Are you serious? You don't see the value of your work? Do you guys find you need to coach people and help them with that?
There is a time when we need to coach people and show them the value in our offer. But the unique thing is that we kind of sell ourselves with what we do. We literally like walk the walk, talk the talk, and we're consistently posting on LinkedIn no matter what, no matter how busy we get. We both have personal newsletters where we nurture leads as well, and that kind of shows people that we actually do what we do. And if you're on a call with me, I've already proved myself. So there are the odd person who get on and they kind of a little bit sold, and I have to show them the value. And it's usually the first week. And we had a text this week, 2 texts from clients saying like blown away, like first post like blown away. And it is until that point where they see even just like old friends reaching out and being like, oh, like love what you're doing, and new people, oh, can we jump on a call? And then like 1 minute, like, yeah, I kind of was sold on this personal brand and building this status online, and now they're like, you have to see it. But like I said, I think one of the biggest competitive advantages of us is that we walk the walk, and when they jump on that call, I've already sold them because they've been sold on what I do, and I'm offering them the exact same that I do for myself, for my clients as well.
It's the beauty of nurturing the leads. So like if I'm doing outreach and I'm coming to you and saying you should buy my product or service, like I then have to jump over that hurdle of convincing you into buying what I'm selling. Whereas if you reach out to me wanting to work with me, at that point you've already had that time in your mind. You might have read through 50 of my newsletters, you might have read through some of Niall's newsletters, and often I'll get that on a client where someone reaches out to me but they also love his newsletter and they've read some of my newsletters and they also read our content, so they've sold themselves pre-call. So that's the whole beauty of the business, that we bring clients inbound leads through that lead nurturing process. They reach on, they want to work with us, so we don't have to really sell much. We just say, oh well, this is what we offer, and they're like, okay, that's great. And then like Niall said, that first few weeks of working with us, we can prove our worth. So
yeah, and I think a great thing that you asked in the question was essentially, do we have to like sell these clients, and do we have to mention to them on the call? And a lot of the time people don't realize is that by building that personal brand and by nurturing your leads through your content, you actually attract higher paying clients and ones who are more invested in what you do. With outreach, like you're having to convince someone to come on board, and instead you're taking the clients from maybe a little bit sold to completely sold on what you do without even talking to them. And it's something that's been completely missed in a lot of industries, and especially sales. I'm all for cold calling, cold emailing, but when you've actually moved the client through the journey of being a nobody, not knowing who you are, to actually loving what you do and being sold on what you do without even talking to them, like it's just a winner.
It's tough to go back as well. Tough to go back to selling people. Like you have to reach somebody. Like once you've had 10 people reach out to you wanting to work with you, or 20 people at this point, we have like a queue of people now that want to work with us. And now outreach. I'm gonna have to tell someone why you should work with me and sell me. So maybe even a little rusty on outreach at this point. But yeah, it's great to have those leads coming to us. And like Niall said, it's definitely the biggest part of the business. And the clients, once they get used to it as well, they don't want to go back to doing outreach. They don't want to go back to another way of finding leads. So it's been one of the reasons why we've grown so quickly, because it becomes addictive. When people want to work with you, it's a good feeling. You know, I've seen you online, I love your content, I love what you do, can we do something together? Can you work with our company? And yeah, it's been great. It's been a good journey so far.
That's incredible. God, there's so much to ask you guys. Yeah, I love how you talk about nurturing the leads. I do feel like this is a foreign concept in this modern day today, and I do want to dig into that in a minute. I love that though. I absolutely get that, because a term that I heard that I love is called sales breath. Like it's just so nasty, like when you're being sold to. And and you guys we're in the same industry, even though we're kind of pointing at different expertise or strategies, I should say. But you know, especially in our industry, when it comes to video, to building a channel, there's a lot of slick salesmen, and I can't tell you how many meetings I've had with people where, you know, I'm like, okay, well let's look at you, seeing what we've gotten before. You know, what have you had before? And they had show one video, and I'm like, what else? And they're like, well, this. And I'm like, you worked with them for a year and they made you one video? What happens? And they're like, isn't this how it works? You make one video and then you go viral. And I'm like, okay, no. And then I have to back up, and then you find out the story is they got sat down with the salesmen. They were very slick, and it felt kind of icky, but they were won over. And the whole time that they worked together, they thought, did I make a mistake? Was I sold here? So I love this idea that you guys talk about nurturing, and the nurturing isn't wanna buy. It's like, what are you doing? Are you teaching? Are you explaining? Are you telling personal stories? What is that strategy?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different stuff that we do with clients to make sure they are nurtured, and education is a big part of it. I feel like just giving value away for free is arguably the best marketing strategy you could have, whether that's on video, talking through what you do, whether it's on posts and written format. Because giving away that free value is huge, but it's also a matter of like Morgan said prior, is that people buy people. So yes, I want to show the value, but I also want to show myself as well, and that perfect combination allows people to connect with the brands and the customers before anything else has happened. And I just think, just give away that free value, but just show your authentic self as well. And that combination is a perfect split. And we always talk through this with clients, is that some often want to go too much personality and some want to go too much value, and it is that combination. If you just add value, you're as dry as a piece of toast. But if you just add too much personality, then you have no credibility. And it's just adding them both in to have this reputation for being a great person and also great in your field as well.
Yeah. And one thing to unpack is like those snake oil salesmen that you mentioned, they give us more business. Like, imagine if you've dealt with a marketing team where you've jumped on and they've said, look, we'll 100,000 in 30 days. And that jumps on, and then they meet us and they're like, look, well, this is a strategy we're going to go with. And we unpack our whole system and we say like, look, this is what we do. This is how we're going to do it. Just like Niall said, the authenticity piece, also the credibility piece. And then we break them down how we're going to do what we do. They're like, oh, well, this is different to the 100,000 we were going to make in paid ads if we invested 10 grand tomorrow. And it becomes more of a process with the client, and it's also a long-term strategy. It's not something where we say in the next 20 days you're going to make X amount of money. It's like you will see an initial ROI, but it's also just going to keep compounding, because the more growth you get, the more leads you get, and then the more content we put out, and it just compounds for our clients. So those snake oil salesmen help us out massively. They give people bad experiences, and a lot of times genuinely people jump on calls with me and they've had a bad experience with a marketing company. They say, look, I got scammed out of this. I spent X amount of money and got no return. And it's been fueling the business. So thank you to them.
Yeah.
And one thing I think a lot of companies miss is the fact that content is an asset, whether it is a video or whether it is a written post, that is out there forever. And something me and Morgan talk about every single day is like, is this post an asset or a liability? Because the last thing you want to have on a client's feed is a post that doesn't do anything, and it's literally just there, it's a liability and drags down their brand. But once you're stacking content, like I said, video format, great posts, great blogs, great newsletters, like they're there forever and they're just assets. And if you're posting 5 posts a week on LinkedIn, you're stacking assets, and you might not get the crazy ROI in month 2, but in 6 months' time, you have a whole portfolio of free value online. People can scroll for days and see that. And no matter what the format, content is either an asset or a liability. And if you keep stacking those assets, you will get an ROI at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a challenging concept to get through to people? Because when I talk to people, I say exactly like that. Like, you know, these videos that we're making are tools. Some of the tools that we're going to make, they're not going to perform very well, but we're constantly looking for the one that does. And what usually happens to us is around the 4 to 6 month mark, we usually have a number of videos that we've made for people that you don't have to touch and are continuing to bring in views and subscribers. And it's not a flood, it's not a waterfall of 1 million people, but it'll be hundreds of new views a week, and usually up to close to 1,000 new views a week, and then 1 or 2 or 5 new subscribers each week. And people are like, it's growing so slowly. And I said, those people love you though. They're coming in, they are choosing to take time out of their day and look at everything you have to say. So if you say, hey, we've got a new offer, we've got a new thing, we've got a new add-on, like, you know, people have been asking us to do this, now we have this. Now you've got these people that are excited to hear you say that and are not only going to want to buy it, but are going to go tell people that good for you. Like, you know, when's the last time your business made an announcement and customers congratulated you for making an announcement? And that's what someone who, I think people undervalue subscribers, because a subscriber is saying, I want to hear from you. Who gets that? I don't think there's a traditional salesman alive who has a customer call and say, could you just give me a pitch once a week? I mean, could you just like call me and pitch me, please? But that's what a subscriber is doing. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely. And that's the whole newsletter strategy that we started off in the first place. And it was like, one thing you mentioned was that people take time out of their day to read your stuff. And like, people now taught me this, but people pay with their time. And if you're willing, like our newsletter strategy, very similar to you guys with the videos, is if we can build up that database of people, you're basically selling those people every single week. You're capturing that audience. And also what Niall mentioned is having those assets in the bank. If you're going to go and say, you know, for example, us with the marketing, there's another marketing team who has no newsletters out, and then there's me and Niall with a year's worth of body of work on what we do, and you're deciding between two companies, which company are you going to go for? So even people who are not subscribed to us can go and look through our whole body of work, and then they can jump on and say like, right, well, these guys clearly know more than the other people just because of the body of work. And to circle back to the subscribers, it's invaluable. Like if I know who's, and especially we provide click rates, so who is the most active on your newsletter? It's not just who's reading it, it's who's actually interacting, who's clicking on those links, who opens it every week, who opens it every other week. Can we direct them different marketing content because they're more active? So are they closer to purchasing? Can we send them an offer? You know, so we might have a newsletter, for example, one person's clicked on it 6 times in a row. Now we can reach out to the company and say, you know what, this guy's really interested. Why don't we send him an offer? And that's invaluable. Like you said, it's basically giving an opportunity to pitch every single week. So
yeah,
something's worked for us.
I think that subscribers are definitely looked over. I think subscribers are definitely overlooked by a lot of businesses, but I think they're overlooked for the right reason, and that's because for years subscribers meant nothing, followers meant nothing. You can have 100,000 on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever platform, people will make no money off it. The really key thing that shouldn't be overlooked is when it's the right subscribers, and when you're putting out the right content, whether it's on LinkedIn, YouTube, in a newsletter format, in a blog, and you're putting out so much value that's directed specifically at your audience, no one is going to subscribe unless they are your target audience. So when you're adding 1, 2, 5 followers, subscribers, whatever it is, it's not, you know, random people who like the way you look. These are all potential clients that are adding into your network and constantly being nurtured by the rest of the content you put out. So yes, subscribers have been overlooked, but rightly, because a lot of people haven't been getting the right subscribers, followers. When you do get the right subscribers, followers, like Morgan said, invaluable.
What you just said right there, Niall, that's a video in itself, because that I've been trying to tell people this for years. They're like, you know, okay, so I see that we're making videos. I see that they're high quality videos. I see they're addressing problems that customers have. Our audience isn't paying attention. And I say, yeah, because they're not their ideal customer. They're your friends, they're your family, they're former employees who don't work there anymore, they're current employees who do work there and don't care. Like, if you have 0 target customers following you right now, and of course they're not interested, or people come to us and we have had people who have large audiences. You know, we've got 50,000 subscribers, and I said, 5 people watched your last video. What does that tell you? If I don't care how many subscribers you have. And Taylor said before, there was a rare case where we were talking to a client, and Taylor said, I recommend starting over, because I don't know how you got these people. I don't know if you paid for them. They do not care about what you're doing, and it's hurting you because they're the first people who see your content and they don't care. So let's start from scratch. And the client ended up, oh no, this isn't a good fit for us. They still have 100,000 subscribers who aren't watching a thing. And it's like, what use is this for you?
It'd be a little bit of an ego stroke, I suppose, right? If people like to get loads of views, it's the same thing with going viral in terms of like our industry. People will post a post and they'll jump on a trend just to get some views. But the truth is, like Niall's mentioned assets and liabilities quite a lot. If you're throwing a post just to jump on a trend, number 1, it's not an asset. Number 2, it's not sustainable. And it's not you, number 3. So it's important to really build those people that support you, support your business, support what you do. And then you are building that asset. You are building those people that you can market to. So yeah, completely agree.
And you mentioned these people who have the big followings and no likes. And actually, we had a client come on recently, and they had a big following, and their posts were getting great likes, and then suddenly they dropped off a cliff, and it came out that they were actually putting their posts in an engagement group for weeks. And that's one of the big things I actually posted on LinkedIn about it. A lot of people are all about this like likes, engagement, and building these big followers, but it doesn't matter having 20,000 followers if they're all fake or they're all paid for, or having 500 likes. That's not credibility. The credibility comes from the content. no matter what form that is. And like we mentioned, like 5 followers, subscribers, whatever it is, of the right people is more valuable than 50,000 people that you've literally pulled off a site and paid for them to come and follow you.
It always astounds me how common those practices are when they are hurtful, not helpful. Okay, so you guys are starting to talk about some back-end stuff, some numbers, you're talking about, like some real metrics. I want to get into the science a little bit here, but first, I gotta ask you guys, okay, I know you're studying finance, your master's. What was your major?
Marketing.
Oh, it was marketing.
Yeah.
How on earth did you guys learn all this stuff? I mean, you're so confident and knowledgeable about it. Where did this knowledge come from?
Great question.
Massive question.
I actually started out, mine is a slightly different story, but the way I started out was I was doing a marketing degree and I couldn't get a job. I was looking for a job outside of college and I think I applied for about 105 jobs. It was over 100 for sure and not even one interview. And I was like, why aren't people taking me on? Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, deep down, I thought I had this knowledge. And I realized I had no credibility online. And that's why I actually started the newsletter. And I was just giving out marketing strategies and showing how people could implement them. And I was putting it out on a weekly basis. And I was putting them out. And a Forbes 30 under 30 CEO subscribed to my newsletter. And she had 100% open rate. And I was like, 1 minute, now this person sees me as a credible person. And I realized what I was doing, and what I was actually doing was nurturing these people. I ended up getting a job, which was technically my dream job at the time, and it was all through my newsletter and actually the content I was putting out online at the time as well. And I realized that I had nurtured people from thinking I was this 19 or 20-year-old nobody to being a marketing expert in my space. And once I noticed that, I noticed I could do it for other people, and it was just a slow process of trial and error. And I think that's one of the best things you have to do in marketing is simply trial and error. You can't learn it in school. I did 3.5 years of a marketing degree and it was complete waste of time and I learned nothing. And I spent 12 months posting 54 newsletters, more than that probably, and posting on LinkedIn 4 or 5 times a week. And that's how my credibility was built, not in a qualification that you pay $50,000 for.
Yeah, no, and kind of piggyback. My story is very different, but Niall's completely right. Like, we've all sat in those marketing classes with the teacher who's never even worked in a marketing organisation, or maybe they did, but they're in the late 50s, 60s, and they're talking about bulletin boards and news and like letters you hand out in the street. So we've all sat in those classes, and they're absolutely shy. You get no value from them at all. I was a different direction from Niall. I have an economics degree, and I was doing my master's degree in finance. And obviously, me and Niall and a team. We have always have been a team, so we're always bouncing ideas off each other and doing all sorts of bits. Knew Niall's journey. I was writing a finance newsletter at the time, still write it inside of trading, and then Morning Brew came in and sponsored me. One of the biggest newsletters in the world. Just dropped me an email, said like, "Oh look, I've been following your stuff, love what you do." Obviously, I said to Niall like, "Oh Niall, like look, the newsletter's getting sponsored by Morning Brew." It was growing, and I was just basically sharing finance stuff that was like in a structured way, that built out journeys, that provided free value. So pretty much what we do for the business right now. So obviously with Niall's concentration in his marketing job, and I was going to be an investment banker, and I don't know whether you know investment banking, but it's bloody boring, and you work 100 hours a week. So that was my route. I was like, I'm going to go to the US, I'm going to get an American visa, I'm going to work at Goldman Sachs, I'm going to move to New York, and then you kind of realize that you can bring value in other ways. I don't need to, sit in an office for 100 hours a week working for somebody else. Couple of conversations with Niall back and forth. He's like, "Oh, I'm doing personal branding. I'm really enjoying it. Your newsletter's taking off. My newsletter's doing great. Like, maybe we can combine this and provide some value." And then obviously Niall talked about our first client earlier, and very luckily that client was on a full package. So wanted a newsletter, also wanted personal branding. So with the joint expertise, we were like, right, well, let's tag team the newsletter and deal with the personal branding. And then, like we said, we provided a great ROI in that first month. We knew we had something, and then it was just a case of honing things in. And like Niall said, trial and error has been a big thing for us. I learned nothing in the marketing school. Like, I did 20 marketing classes over my 2 degrees now, and they've all been a waste of time, like absolute waste of time. But I sat there and got A's, got to get some decent grades. But bouncing ideas off each other, seeing what worked, also talking to clients, like, what do you want for your business? Is this valuable to you? Is this not not valuable to you, you know, A and B, and then just going with which one is more valuable, which has been important for us. And that's kind of how we gelled the business together. It started with a finance newsletter and a marketing newsletter and one client, and now here we are, obviously loads of clients later, growing out our team, and hopefully it continues.
It's so fun to hear those stories. And I think, you know, in this age more than ever, I think there's a generation of people who go, okay, maybe I went to college, maybe I did part of a degree, but that's not the only way to learn, and that's not the only way to excel. And at a certain point, you kind of got to start. And so I poke myself over and over again, because I think if I would have taken one videography course, if I would have had a minor, if I would have worked for another company for 6 months, I wouldn't have had to start from scratch. We started from scratch when we did this, and we absolutely did not know what the hell that we were doing. We had to build that. And so many people are sitting in school wasting that time. Morgan, I don't know if you know like how we got started. Grayson makes fun of me for not putting it out in the world, and we need to.
She told me it was an amazing story that you guys didn't tell. Like, they were like, oh, you should meet the guys, they're great. I was like, yeah, fire away. But yeah, go. How did it sound?
The nasty is, so Taylor was at Facebook, and he was seeing the algorithm 6 months before it got implemented. And so we were talking about that, and he would go, video has another bonus, like every day. I was at Stanford, and I was working on this team that we were trying to grow a program very quickly from nothing. We had money, and we had a team, that's it, starting from scratch. And so for our big launch, there was a marketing guy ahead of me, and I told everybody on the team, I was like, I want your job. I love this. I want to learn. I want to know how to do this. Told him, told my boss, told everybody. And then so one day my boss said, I know you're interested in marketing. Let me show you what you would be working on if you were doing marketing. I know you've been working with this guy a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I help him with little bits of things. So she started showing me this report. And she goes, this is the kind of report you'd be working on. I said, I made that. And she goes, well, no, you would work on something like this. I said, no, I made this report. And she's like, maybe you advised on the report. I'm like, I made this entire report. And I showed her the rough draft. And she's like, oh, I got to make a call. And so the next day, that guy was gone. He was fired. And they're like, we need your help. We're launching this in 2 months. It was like, I mean, there was like 50 people, $10 million, all pointed at this launch, right? It was a big deal. And he'd been planning it for 6 months. So I took the reins and I said, okay, what are we doing? We've got $50,000 of ad spend. Fantastic. Where's it going? Newspaper, radio, and, oh God, what was the other one? Help me out, Taylor.
Newspaper?
No, newspaper, radio,
TV.
And TV. And I was like, this is a terrible idea. Like and at the time I was just starting to understand the power of social media. And I was saying, if we take $50,000 and put it on Facebook, I can essentially make this go viral. And they're like, that's a waste of money. We're never going to give that to Facebook. And then so I'm sitting in the room with these like experts in their field. They're all in their 50s, 60s, 70s. And they go, can we just spend $10,000 to create flyers and just pass those around campus? And I said, no. Let's cancel all this. I can spend it better. They didn't understand the internet or social media. They allowed me to cancel 2. So I canceled TV and newspaper. I had to keep radio. $10,000 campaign. I wrote the ad. I heard my own ad go up there. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm on the radio. So they played it for months and months and months. Come to the website. We're trying to get 10,000 people to sign up. After 2 months of radio play all day and night, we had 1 website visit.
Yeah, I believe it.
Not even one sign up, 1 visit. And so I called the radio and I'm like, what the hell? Like, you told me all these metrics, this audience, you know, like these are the results from your other campaigns. What the hell? And they said, tell you what, we'll double your campaign for free. And I said, so I get 2 website visits? No, thank you. Keep the money. I'm out. And then I went back to Taylor and we were talking and I said, if you had $10,000 to promote something, what would you do? And I remember he said, I'd make a short series of videos. I'd have a longer video. I'd have shorter videos pointing to that. I'd put it all behind ad spend on social media. And that was the foundation of our business. So we made a video. I filmed it off of my laptop camera because I had no idea what I was doing. I asked Taylor to help me edit it because I didn't understand how to do it. And we made a series of videos. And within 4 months, I think we had 10,000 people signed up. And then other departments at Stanford, they started saying, can you make a video for us? Can you make a video for us? Can you make a video for us? And it happened so much. We were like, holy crap, there's a business here. And we hired a friend of ours. And then a couple months later, we quit and went out on our own.
That's what it's all about.
So yeah. And the team actually hired us to make a video for their like 5-year wrap up. And they're like, how did this grow so quickly? And I was like, video? We made videos and put them on social media. And they wanted us to print flyers and put stickers on the newspaper.
What website is it? I still can't believe it.
For $10,000.
It's an advantage that you didn't like. You were like, oh, well, I wish I would have done that one course, that one this. But they just train bad habits into you. And that's just the truth. I've never heard one thing in a marketing class that I thought, oh, you know what, I'd use that. And like, obviously, you guys clearly went down a different option, a different route to the traditional. And that's why you were so successful. And I would say the same for me and Niall. Like, if you go and do a marketing degree, fair play. I'm obviously an advocate for degrees. I have 2. But you have to know that it's more to do with turning up for class and getting the deadlines and getting the structure. You don't learn that much actual real world knowledge, and it shows from you guys just doing something off a whim that you thought, oh yeah, that'll work, that'll be decent. All these guys want to give out flyers. Like, I haven't listened to the radio in like 5 years. Like, there's a podcast on, I've got the Bluetooth on, I'm listening to the, I'm not listening to the radio, and hence why there's only one guy visiting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I love that you talk about real world experience. I wonder if occasionally you guys get people who they're seeing your stuff, they're talking to you, but especially in South Carolina, I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of people say this is a do-it-yourself state, and everybody here wants to do it themselves. Do you ever get people who they see your process and they go, well, I can do that? And then do you invite them to? I mean, what I'm really getting at is, let's pretend someone believes in the power of this. They believe that you guys know what they're doing. They don't yet believe you guys, they need your help, right? They think, I could do this. We do that too. Like, people, they're like, well, we can shoot this video. Go shoot it.
Enjoy, yeah. Try
Come back and show me what you got. And 10 times out of 10, they go,
Yeah, we've had loads of clients like that, and they think about going with us. You jump on a call with Niall, jump on a call with me, then you don't hear from them for a few months, but you see them starting to post, or you see them starting a newsletter, and then 3 months time it's, hi boys, I'm really looking to optimize my content, like, could you take a look at it and could you see what you can do? And I'm obviously very similar to you guys. I'm sure they shoot a video and realize, well, actually you can't just buy a camera and point it. And same thing for us.
I was going to say, my favourite type of client is, or favourite type of prospect. My favourite type of prospect is someone that comes on board and they hear the process, and we will outline it on the discovery call and tell them exactly what we do. And they go away and you see them start to post and you see them start to try things and you see it not working. And I already know that they're just going to be 10 times more sold in 2-3 months' time when they get back in contact with me and say, do you know what? I tried it and I can't do it. And then we come in and they have the instant difference. And I hate to push engagement, but you always see the engagement first. It's always the first metric. And they say, could have been 3 months ago and doing this. And instead, they wasted their time, sat at a desk. And CEOs don't have the time to do video, to do LinkedIn. Like, no one wants to be sat there setting up a camera or sat there, copywriting their own posts. They've got a business to run. And that's why, no matter what the price, it's invaluable, because their time's more valuable than the price they pay to do it. And I think that's something that people forget as well. It's just like the time, as in like, we have an accountant. I'm not going to do my accountant.
Don't have time to run accounts, don't know what's going on, don't know where those invoices are going.
Yeah, and you pay someone to do things because your time's more valuable than that money, and
right.
No one wants to sit there writing on LinkedIn.
And people think one thing we've had quite often is like, oh, well, you guys just copyright. Well, I think you'll find we don't. And it's one of those things. It shows that you can write your own content, and maybe you'll get some engagement, but are you going to get those leads? And are those leads going to come in? And is that content that you're spending all that time that Niall's just mentioned? You're spending 10 hours a week developing your content, and it might get 100 likes, even 100 interactions, but you're getting no ROI at all because there's no strategy. There's no structure. There's no audience that you've analyzed and you think, you know what, I really want to target that segment. And the same with the newsletter. Like, you can put out content that you think's good, but is it giving you the return for the time that you're putting in? Or you could spend a little amount of money with us, and not only will we bring you ROI, but we'll bring you better content. So it's like we've always talked about the investment and the liability. Like, if you want to give it a go yourself, then throw a few liabilities out there, no problem at all, and we'll delete them, and then we'll bring you some assets. So
a couple times in the last time we talked, I said copywriting, and each time I could tell it hurt your heart a little bit. Now, like you just.
And yeah, it's everyone. Not everyone, but a lot of people do come on and say we're just copywriting, and it's like me saying the same to you. Oh, you guys just film stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we do. Yes, my background is technically in copywriting, but we do not copyright. We're literally nurturing your leads from not knowing you to signing and paying thousands of pounds a month for your services. Like. Copy, yeah, I can write some decent web copy, but that's not what we're doing here. We're literally painting a picture, digitalizing someone's reputation, and that is not what a copywriter does. Copywriters are probably cheaper, but they will not get you the same results that we get.
Yeah, and they'll just churn the same stuff you give back to them. Like, you say something, I write it, well done, thank you, like a interaction. But what we're doing is we're taking opinions and we're putting them in long form content. Also, what you do, business outlook, strategy, and we're packaging it up in a way that speaks to an audience. It's completely different than like, oh, yesterday I did this and I'm just writing it down and I've got good grammar because I went to school. And that's just obviously not what we do. And it's also having personality and being able to structure things well, and a journey for the reader, and putting the clicks in the right place. All those things are all in that package that is definitely not what a copywriter would be doing for you.
And something you mentioned prior was that the long-term view of stuff. And I think that's something that's like really key for us, is that we always say to people, do not come on board with us for 2 months. Like, you need to come on board with 3 months, and you have to see that. Because if you want views, if you want to go viral, I'll tell you, like, post a crying selfie, post some crap about a recent trend, post about a really controversial opinion, you will get all the views in the world, and you'll get an instant gratification on that month one. But if you genuinely want any clients for your business, this is going to take 90 days minimum, and that's for any form of marketing that's actually going to build that reputation online. Yeah. Unless you want like that low quality client that comes instant, you have to take 3 months. And that copywriting is the instant thing, where the copywriter is looking for, you pay me £35 for this hour and I will get you as much ROI as I can within an hour of my time. Like, no, we're thinking 6-12 months in advance. We want people to be up here, not just, okay, we're going to get you a little win, pay another £35, no. Another win, and it just doesn't add up. It's just on the same line all the time, and that's frustrates me a lot.
Delayed gratification is important.
It's so important. So speaking of delayed gratification, do y'all have a recommendation or a minimum amount of time? I mean, it might be different things. What do you recommend for people?
We always say 90 days, minimum.
That's not a lot.
And it isn't a lot.
You'd be surprised, mate.
90 days isn't a lot at all. But the reason we say that you should stay on at least 90 days is I always say, after 90 days, you'll know that it's going to work.
Yeah.
You might not have had the whatever you want, the outcome you wanted, but after 90 days, you'll know. You'll know whether it's like, okay, this is going somewhere, or like, this is great. And simply off the content, once you get 3 months of content and it's been 10 out of 10 standard, and people are really connecting with you, they might not be converting yet, but when they're really connecting, and you're like, yeah, you know what, this is actually really going somewhere, at 90 days, you can always tell, especially with what we do, that it's going to work.
I'm very jealous of you guys sometimes because, I mean, we're doing a similar thing. We're building something to bring people in, right? And sometimes I'm like, fucking guys, like, I'm so jealous that you guys could just open a document and with your skills and your knowledge. And I'm not minimizing that at all. Yeah. I'm not at all. Video is such a complicated animal because a picture tells 1,000 words and a video may tell 1,000,000. There's so many things to critique in a video, and one of the challenges that we have really been sinking our teeth into, and there's a way around this, there's a way past this, I don't know what it is at this moment, is our clients often get so caught up in the details of the video. And what I'm trying to tell them is this is the tip of the iceberg. There is miles of strategy under this. And, it makes me think of you guys making a post and someone going, I don't like that word. Is that word really there? You know what? Look at the whole thing. And it's so funny because we have a big client now and we're coming up on 5 months, and it's taken us this time to make them happy with the video itself. And now I'm able to talk about all the strategy that comes next, and it's like, if you guys can just let 90% be good enough, then we can start to work on the strategy, because my end goal is to build you a video funnel that's going to, a phrase from you guys, nurture these clients. We're going to hit their problems, where they're at, their objections, talk about the process, and this is a automated virtual salesman that costs no money, no insurance, no vacation time, but you have up on your channels, and it's just running. And there will come a point where it says every $10 we put in, we get $50 back. But that takes time to build with video. That takes time to build with writing too. So, okay, you must have people ask you all the time, I want to go viral. What's your actual recommendations? Don't tell me 90 days. Tell me this is the workout plan. This is going to lead you through success, long term. What would you actually, if you're being totally honest, no fluff, no niceness, what would you say?
Honestly, genuinely, if someone came to me and said, I want to go viral, I would say you're looking for the completely wrong outcome. And if you really want to go viral, I could make 100% of our clients go viral in the next 2 weeks. It's not a hard thing to do, but we mentioned the liability of posts. I can guarantee that 10,000 people might see your post, and all 10,000 of them will either think you're not a credible business person or you're not someone I'm going to work with. And what a waste of time that is. Now it's on your profile. The top post on your profile is something that has no value to your potential clients. So now all those potential clients that we were nurturing in the content, they're all just turned off. They're all just like, okay, now this is an influencer. And that's a big thing. I mentioned it to a client the other day. You're not an influencer, you're a CEO. And we want to be showing you as the CEO, as the credible person. So great, go viral, get 10,000 views. If you want to go viral, pay me half the amount of money, because that's so much easier for me to make you go viral and get you views. But what isn't easy is to actually, like I said, get those people from not knowing you to actually wanting to be a client. And it's just building the asset library of consistently adding value. So yeah, if you want to go viral, like I said, genuinely post a crying selfie, post a controversial opinion, mention Andrew Tate, and shout him out on your LinkedIn, and you will get hundreds of thousands of views, but you will get 0 clients. And that's the key thing. When people come to me and say, can I go viral? I say yes, but you don't want to go viral. That's the last thing you want to do.
Back to that instant gratification that we talked about earlier. And one thing that me and Niall stress with clients often is who are you targeting? And especially for people even me and Niall's content, we want to work with high level CEOs. You guys work with CEOs. So what is a viral post of you crying going to do to 10,000 CEOs? It's going to make, average everyday people who are just at the office and they're working, but they're never going to work with you. They're not your potential clients. And they're going to be happy, oh my God, he's crying, or what, or this Andrew Tate content. But the truth is that you have to target who you want to work with. And viral posts, obviously we all know how busy we are. I'm sure you guys are the same. I don't have time to read through a long post about how you're crying because Andrew Tate made you upset online. The truth is I want value-added content that's giving me obviously a pain points for me and now with our business. And then I might reach out and say, oh, I thought you had a really insightful point on that. How does that work? And can we work with you? And you build credibility through that. And a viral post, just like Niall said, turns off your audience, the target audience that you actually want to work with.
One of our favorite clients that we had was a medical doctor, and he had a very unique look. He had a big white beard, really long hair, and he wore these outrageous 70s psychedelic shirts. And he's like, I purposely cultivate this because no one looks like this where I live. I really stand out. And it's good for you. And he said, one of the first things he said to me, and he said it over and over and over again, is, anytime in a video I play Santa, a hippie, a hobo, a stoner, and I'm like, you are a respected medical doctor. I don't see the value of you playing a hobo improving your perception as a respectable medical doctor. So thank you for the idea. But yeah, I love that you say, okay, viral is not your goal. So, okay. So you guys tell me, what I'm looking for is I want you guys to put a hard timeline or a hard prescription behind longer term success. So not 90 days, but do you recommend a year, 2 years, 10 years? I mean, ideally someone starts, doesn't stop, because I know you guys know the compounding returns that will happen over time. But your perfect client says, I trust you implicitly. We got money in the bank. I'm not going to shoot you guys in the foot. What do you recommend? What would you say?
Yeah, this is a great question. And the first thing I would say to them is optimize reputation. and reputation is built over that long time. And if you give us 12 months, I
12
genuinely
months
think
is solid.
not only could I get you a really healthy client base, but I could make you the go-to person in your industry, where when anyone thinks about what your industry does, they think about you. And in the UK right now, we've got Stephen Bartlett, who's like the guy for any social media thing, and he blew up and he sold his agency for 9 figures. And you can't do that in 3 months. It takes a year, 2 years, even 5 years, and you have to have that long-term vision of being like, I'm going to optimize every single piece of content for my reputation for 5 years' time, and no one can do that consistently. No one does it, and if you just keep putting out that value for 5 years, 3 years, whatever it is, you will be that go-to person in your industry. How can you put out that value? It's something me and Morgan talk about all the time, is that it's not free content. They are always paying with their time. So what can you give them for the time? The first thing is value. You have to give them some sort of insightful thing. You want to tie to their personality, because no one wants to read content that's as dry as a piece of toast. I always say no one wants to read that. But 3, they have to have action steps as well. That might be one little last line at the end of the post, at the end of the piece of content, at the end of a newsletter, or it could be a listicle saying 1, 2, 3. These are takeaway steps. But they always say like the best experts are like the best teachers, and you have to give them that. Okay, you've paid me 30 seconds of your time or 5 minutes of your time with a newsletter. Like, you have to be able to put your phone down and say, do you know what, that was so worth that 5 minutes. And that's when you get people coming back, and once you can do that over a period of years, you will be the go-to person in your industry, and there's no question about it.
Yeah, and you can't build credibility like that in any other way. So being consistent with those things, like we talked about, a 12-month period is probably very realistic for you to have a very, very credible audience that's in your target audience, that knows that you're good at what you do, and they've been following you for a long enough time for them to be telling people about you. Or I'm following this guy, like you mentioned somebody earlier that you'd loved on LinkedIn. Like, that is invaluable. Absolutely invaluable to that person that you mentioned. Saying that, I couldn't remember who it was, but just in a conversation like, oh, I was following this person and they're doing this, that you can't do that in 3 months. We can get you an ROI in 3 months if that's what you're looking for, and that's obviously a big part of the business. But if you want to build that whole reputation over 12 months and have people saying, oh, actually this guy or this girl, that's the person you should be following, that's the person you should go to. People tag us now and stuff. We've been doing this now a long time and building brands on LinkedIn and also doing the newsletter stuff. And people will tag us in people's stuff. Like, they'll say like, oh, I'm looking for this. Who's good at like solving newsletter problems? And then you just see that tag come underneath, and that's completely invaluable to me. And now when somebody we don't even know is recommending us to someone else we don't even know, just because they've been following us for 12 months and see us as credible in the space. And you can't do that in 3 months, but you can do that over the space of a year, over 2 years, and then 5 years time. It's all about compounding in a body of work. So yeah, 100%.
One thing that people really misunderstand is what goes into the back end of before starting. Similar to what you were saying. So when a client comes on with us, there's literally a whole process of us, the onboarding call. We do an hour-long interview where we sit down with them and we literally get them to talk through their whole entire life. We had a client the other day, 35 minutes, his whole life. I literally know what he did, high school, everything. But we record that, we transcribe it, and we sit through that and read through it and make sure we can map out their story and how we can push that across 6 months of posts. And we also map out all their goals, strategy, and then we're going away, we're doing industry analysis, we're doing competitor analysis, we're putting together a strategy, we're positioning them, we want to see how their content comes across, we want to see how people view them. And you mentioned the copywriters, it's people really misunderstand what goes into actually putting out good content online, and that is not 10 minutes where I write a post or 20 minutes where I write a post. It's the 10 hours I've spent mapping out exactly how I want to position them to spend the 10 minutes writing a post, creating the content, writing a newsletter that fits into this strategy that we've built out for hours and hours. And that's why it is so ironic when someone says 10
10-day turnaround.
And honestly, you're sacrificing yourself, because in 10 days, if you give me 3-4 weeks to really map out the strategy, when the content does come out, it's going to get you the outcome. When you say 10 days, it's a lot tougher to get that outcome from the off, and it will probably take more trial and error in the 2 weeks after it. So yeah, your post goes out in 2 weeks, but the real strategy will probably start to implement it in 4.
Yeah, so what we have been doing lately, and like I said, we're still working on this, is The first month is preparation. It's, doing the research, competitor analysis, learning about you. We'll do the first filming. And what I've been telling people was the second month we start posting. And that makes people really nervous. Nothing in the first month. There's so much work in the back end. It's like a pretty video is 2%. And everyone is so focused on that. It's like, you are doing yourself a disservice by getting us to focus on the pretty video and not having us do this back end stuff that is going to build you the long-term results. And I don't know why that is so challenging to get across. And the thing that I've been trying to explain to people lately is think of us as a marketing manager on your team, not a contractor. Because a contractor, how much time you got? 6 weeks. Ain't much I can do for you in 6 weeks. And Sam at Event Gives, we had an interview with him yesterday, and he goes, I usually look at it in about 6 weeks. I'm like, fucker. Like that.
It's false.
Yeah, I can't.
Off the record, that's like classic.
It is, but that's standard. That's classic CEO too.
Yeah.
Like, well, if this doesn't show results in 6 weeks, how long do you guys make plans for? Oh, we have a 20-year plan. Why? Why not a 6-week plan?
It's all about strategy, right? Like, you can't sell, like, yes, you could sell videos, for example. You could just be like, right, I'll get you a video, but the strategy is what they're buying. Like, they're not buying the video. Like, I get my iPhone out and video somebody, pretty simple, but like, the truth is, and it's the same with us. Like, yes, you can buy copyright to write your content. You could pay me 20 quid and I'll take it and I'll write you some content, and then you can go away. But you pay for the strategy and the solution that we've built out to get you leads. And it's the same for you guys, of course. Like, you're not paying for the actual product that you're seeing, that physical, like, oh, I get this in 6 weeks and now I've got it, and it's that short-term gratification that we talked about. It's like, well, you've spent years building out a strategy that works for clients that are similar to this client that's coming in, and I'm going to implement my strategy on your business to bring you more business. So, give me, we say 90 days, 3 months as a minimum. Give me 90 days, let me get you some money in your pocket, and then let's have a real conversation about strategy. That tends to be the point where they sit back and say, okay, boys, like, what are we going to do from now? Like, what's the next thing we can do? And that gives us the opportunity to say, well, let's implement a more hard strategy over the next couple of years now. And it takes that, probably similar for you guys, takes that first period just to convince them. And people are just short-sighted, unfortunately. But it's definitely starting to turn, I think, on social media. I think there's enough content creators out there putting stuff out that's like, you can't give 10 quid and expect 20 quid back tomorrow. It's all about investing in your company. And, then companies like ours and yours grow from people getting screwed over by people who'll say, yeah, I'll turn around in 6 weeks and give you an ROI. And they get screwed over enough times and think, you know what, these boys here that are saying 3 months and we'll give you guarantees, or 6 months and we'll give you guarantees. And that's what brings us business, like I said before.
One interesting way to look at it was my old boss, Sam Winsbury. I think Ollie Duffy as well mentioned it to me. But one interesting way to look at it is brains in the hands. And people don't understand that if you want to pay a hands as a copywriter, a guy with a camera, they'll get that, and you'll get a set amount of time and you'll get video. But when you pay a brain that's getting the strategy, that's why you pay a premium. You pay a premium for the brain that puts the strategy, that does the competitor analysis and all that. And if you want to pay for hands, you'll pay 10% of the price, but you'll get 10% of the quality with no strategy, no outcome, no target, and it's literally just done and dusted, an hour's work, and you pay for that person's time, and you're paying for hands. But what you need to do, if you really want strong outcomes for your business, you have to pay brains, and they do come at a price.
That's a wonderful outlook, hands versus brains. I love it. So one of the cool things about what we do is, filming obviously is in person. Almost everything else that we do can be done remotely. And so I was in California. That's where we're originally from. My family, I've got some family still there. And so it's a fun place. Have you been?
I've never been because it's expensive as anything. But
that's very true.
Maybe I'll go there for a visit prior to leaving America, but goodness me.
You would love it. So we're from the Bay Area, so about an hour south of San Francisco. It's sunny 300 days of the year. It never rains. It's beautiful, and all the tech companies, Netflix, eBay, we're so used to driving past them when people are like, oh my God, oh, right, that's important. Like, you know, like it's just, and that's part of this thing that we have is we want to build this business and grow it. And that's such a Bay Area thing. And so many times people here are like, why? Why do you want to manage people? Why do you want to grow? Aren't you doing all right? Yeah. But so my grandpa is 95, definitely from another generation, doesn't understand the internet at all, thinks one person writes the whole internet. But so, you know, I'm working on my computer, you know, I'm getting on video meetings and, you know, I'm talking to people, reviewing videos, typing stuff up all day. And so he just walks in the room talking to me and I'm like, Grandpa, I'm in a meeting. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm in a meeting right now. Look, there's people on camera. And he goes, oh, and he goes, I just thought you were always playing a game. And I'm like, no, I'm working. And then so I noticed him like kind of looking at me and stuff. And he said something like what you said. He said, when I was a kid, when I was a young man, people would make their living on the strength of their hands. I see now that a man makes a living on the strength of his mind. And I'm like, thank you. That was a compliment, kind of.
Absolutely. And like, I mean, obviously people still make a living with their hands, right? Like I was working some construction throughout school before we started our business on weekends to make some cash. And I'm not sure how people do it. I'm just not sure. It's very, very, very tough. And hats off to anybody who can. I personally was not built for carrying cement. So I'm glad we managed to build the business we did.
So let me kind of try to give people an out right now, okay? Because people are going to be watching this and be like, damn, these guys know what they're talking about. There's a definite strategy. There's definite science behind it that I don't understand, but they must just be writing or something. So when you get those leads that say, you know what, I'd like to try it myself for a while. If we could take away any frustration or aggravation and put it to the side, but say, okay, like, I believe in you. You can do this. It's going to be hard, but here's what I would advise. How does someone get started in this?
Great question. My first thing I always say is decide who you're writing for. Decide who your target audience is. I think it's a classic cliche, but one of the most underestimated things out there. You have to define, and we always say define one person. And a lot of the time with my newsletter, I write for Carrie Rose, and she was my like somewhat idol role model when I first got into marketing. She runs a big PR agency, and you have to write for that one person. And I think that's the biggest thing people miss is that just choose one actual person, their name and everything, and write your content for them. And if you're writing for that person in your target audience, that singular person, you will start hitting them. So if I could give 3 tips for anyone who actually wants to go build a personal brand, I would say 1, start posting content, anything. You have to trial and error. You will not get it on your own without trial and error. Me and Morgan have done it for years now, and you have to get the trial and error in. 2, I would say you have to choose that one person, their name, and start writing for them. It has to be someone in your target audience. Literally see a photo of them when you're writing and write for that one person, how you talk to them and how you want your content to come across. And 3, I would just say absorb as much content as you can, and that's where your lessons will really come. See who do you like on social media, who do you want to come across as, and just keep looking at their content. What do they do? And don't look at what they're saying, look at how they're saying it, and because that's where the value is, and that's where great writers come across is how they're saying. And yeah, I think that would be the 3 I would give.
Yeah, and Niall's hit the nail on the head. The only thing I will add is that if you're going to start a personal brand, or you're going to start a newsletter, or you're going to start writing content, pick something to write the content on. Add some value. And you can spout all day long about different topics you see online, but the truth is, number 1, what are you interested in? Because interest sells. Like if you're interested in something, like you guys are clearly very interested in film and how to do it and how to develop people to watch it and how to get leads from it. Same with me and Niall's business, and it's contagious. And if you're passionate about something, so you can pick that thing, you can say, right, well, I want to write for a specific person, I'm going to do it consistently, I'm going to use trial and error, but let me write about something I'm passionate about, and let me pick 3 or 4 things I'm going to write about consistently, and don't waver. So don't jump on trends, because the minute you start jumping on trends, you start losing credibility, because you're just doing it for the clicks. So pick topics that you know you're good at, or you know you're interested in, and stay consistent with those topics, and just revisit them. And it's a good mental exercise. If you've written about a topic once a month for the last 3 months, you have to then revisit and think, right, well, how can I go at this topic from a different angle? Have I had an experience? Have I seen someone who's gone at a different angle? So picking a topic you're passionate about, sticking with it and being consistent, just to add to what Niall said, and then you're on your way to doing half of the job that we'll put together. But yeah, it's definitely doable, and consistency is key. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed some points that I missed, but yeah, and I think one thing I want to emphasize is that people don't understand that every single person has a personal brand. Like, all four of us sat in this room has it. It's just about how you digitalize that reputation, how you put yourself online. Like, we all have one. It's just who's actually amplifying it, who's using it as a marketing device. Like, you walk around, everyone has a reputation. Everyone does have this brand. Just because we wrap it up in a nice, fluffy statement of being personal brand, like we all have one. Some people are just utilizing and monetizing it, and other people are just letting that opportunity slip by.
Everyone thinks something of someone, may as well make it good. You know, especially if you're a CEO, you're representing your company. People are going to look at your company and think, oh, well, I think this about this person. Why not direct them in a positive direction? And it costs literally hardly any money, and it's a long-term investment for your business. And people spend money frivolously, like you mentioned prior. Let's get some flyers and put them through people's doors. How about concentrate your money and optimize for reputation? And see the compounding effect of that. So,
I love that. And, one thing that I think people miss a lot is, okay, certainly you can print flyers. Like you said, put them on people's door, put them through the doors or on windshields. Certainly you can do that. And money can be made doing that. Do you want to be the person in the business associated with a flyer on the car? And, good Lord, that is a topic that comes up so often with video. Do you really want to be associated with the thing that you're asking me to make? I say no.
The hobo? The doctor
Yeah.
The doctor wants to be the hobo?
Yeah. Okay, well, let me ask you guys. So if someone's hearing this and they're like, damn, we need this help. I can barely follow this conversation, but clearly these guys know what they're talking about, and they see nuance where I don't even see nuance. We're weak on social media, or we don't have a presence. I'm sorry, but if you're a CEO, I think if you don't have a presence on social media, shame on you, and as one that has a poor presence, shame on me. But who would be your dream clients? And I'm not necessarily looking for a name or an example, but I am looking for kind of a profile. Do you know who these people are? They got the money, they can invest with you guys. So it might be some of the top tier people that you guys are working with, or it might even be a step up. Who do you know that you can help? It's going to be a home run. Very good for your business and very good for theirs too. Can you paint a picture so someone's listening to this, they know it's them?
Yeah, so honestly, a dream client to us would be a 7-figure CEO who is so invested and passionate about their business and genuinely want to grow it. There's 3 things. First, the 7-figure CEO. Yes, we can help 8-figure CEOs, but we can make such a big impact on that 7-figure CEO for his business. And if we can add 100k to his monthly and to his annual recurring revenue, that would be huge for him, and we know we can do that, and that's why 7-figure. I'll restart this. So I would go in terms of our perfect client, it would be a 7-figure CEO. They're passionate about their business and love what they're doing, and they want to grow. Why I'd say those 3: the 7-figure CEO is one we can help more than anyone else. If we can add 100k to his annual recurring revenue, that's huge for his business, and we know we can do that. We've done it before, and that's why I would say 7-figure. Yes, we can help an 8-figure CEO, but it doesn't have the impact on the business. Being passionate and actually involved in the business as well. Some CEOs, if they're brushing it off and they don't really care, their personal brand won't be as good. They have to want to build this personal brand. They have to want to be out there on social media, and that's why that's another factor what we look for when we bring on new clients. And the third one, I said, genuinely looking to grow. These people who want to go there and they'll have to throw out some content and they know that it's going to help somewhat. Although we can work with them and we can add value, we want to work with people who genuinely are excited to grow and they're ringing us up and saying we got a new client, and those are the sort of people that will be way more successful on social media, because that passion, it comes across to us and we can express that and translate that onto their profile, and they're the 3 things that be my perfect client.
Morgan, I think that was summed up perfectly. Let me ask you, what are the top problems that these 7-figure CEOs that are passionate, They want to grow. They know that with a presence, they can significantly improve their income and the attention on their business. What are the biggest problems they're facing right now?
The biggest problems they're facing is, number one, a massive disconnect between people that want to work with them and themselves. So like they're sat in the house, maybe they are super rich, and they're just a complete disconnect, and they're part of the business, they're part of the machine, and people don't even see them as a real person. And do you want people reaching out to you? Well, yes. So you have to be relatable, and you have to, like, I have to see someone and think, you know what, I could message that person. You know, this man or woman is very relatable, and I'd love to reach out to them, and I know who they are. They'll be nice to me. And, you know, do you feel comfortable messaging a CEO who's got no presence anywhere, who seems like he's got a stiff upper lip and, you know, not very relatable? No. So I think just having that disconnect really from, you know, they're just part of the machine. They're not even a real person. And I think we provide a real touch point to bringing that person down to reality, like just a normal person, relatable, able to reach out. And this doesn't even have to be B2C. So, you know, it's not like you're selling a product and we want customers reaching out to you. It's like other business owners. Like maybe I see a business owner who we're not even going to work with, but because they've got a great presence on social media, we can connect and we can interact. And then in 12 months time, maybe that relationship flourishes into something else. Maybe we refer them clients. Maybe we don't. Maybe we just develop that relationship. And obviously everybody understands networking, but no one wants to put in that real effort to like, am I someone people want to network with? And that's definitely some value that we add to some CEOs that have got a disconnect. So yeah, that's something that they're definitely facing, along with an absolute slew of other problems. But in terms of strict personal branding, that's definitely something that we bring to the table.
Very well said. So, Niall, what are the opportunities that these seven-figure CEOs are missing out on because they don't feel like real people? They're not someone that big contracts, big deals, partnerships that will bring growth and improvement to both the business and their income. What else are they missing out on because they don't have this piece figured out?
So I think that the biggest opportunities clients are missing out on when they come to us, or prospects are missing out on when they come to us, is the first one. They make everything so hard when they can make it so easy. I always say lead nurturing is the easiest way to get new clients, but having the online presence as well isn't just the easiest way to get new clients. You're getting higher paying clients, more invested clients. So in terms of lead generation, like your leads are now 10x what they used to be. Some other opportunities they miss out on: hiring. We recently hiring for a full-time role. We got 65 applicants in a week. You can't get that at huge businesses where literally, just a multi-six-figure business, and we got 65 applicants and loads of people wanting to work with us. So a huge opportunity people forget about is hiring. People want to work with people who are posting on social media and they can connect with. Mm-hmm. So hiring is definitely another option, as well as the leads. And I think the third one is not only you nurturing your team, but you're nurturing leads, but you're also nurturing your team as well. And having your team see you there and see you as that authority in the rest of the world. They also see you as that authority and respect you in the workplace as well. And a lot of people forget that with newsletters as well, like an internal newsletter, and not forgetting that your team are also just as important as all the leads as well. And having that online presence actually helps you connect with those better and helps those be motivated and more engaged in the workplace.
Well done. Okay, so one last very pointed question at this. Okay, so when I ask you this, I want you to maybe be thinking about a common objection. You could do 1 to 3 that one of these seven-figure CEOs is going to face. But I want you to give them a very specific call to action that they can do right now. So I'm a seven-figure CEO. I'm watching this. I like what you guys are saying. I know I need help. I certainly don't have the time. Not only do I need someone else to do this for me, I need somebody I trust that can do this for me. And forget a 6-week plan. I'm in it for months if I know it'll work. If you guys can show me that this will work within 90 days, I'm in for a year or more. Yeah. What is the specific thing that I, as a seven-figure CEO, can do right now?
Yeah, so obviously reach out to us. The first thing that you should be doing. Well, obviously we have ratcliffebrothers.com. We also both have presence on social media, LinkedIn's, drop us a message. Also have emails floating around on the website. But ratcliffebrothers.com, obviously the emails are on there. You mentioned objections, which is interesting because a lot of people think, you know what, why don't we just hire this internally? And that's something that CEOs kind of think, you know what, these boys are doing a good job. I could reach out to them, or why don't I just hire someone on, a couple of grand a month, train them internally. It'll be an investment for the company. But the truth of the matter is, like, number one, you're not going to get the quality of people that me and Nal have now in our team with the background we have for a couple of grand a month. Also, what's your timescale on training this person? Also, what's the direction with this person? So if I was talking to a CEO who was sat at home right now listening to this thinking, well, these boys obviously know what they're doing, but like, should I reach out? Should I not? Jump on a call with us and give us 30 days. Give us 90 days. Don't give us 30 days. Goodness me. Give us 90 days and work with us, meet us. And we're the people who we are on social media. There's absolutely no disconnect. We're very open. So just reaching out through the website, through the emails, on the LinkedIn. I love getting a message on the LinkedIn saying, I got one the other day from a pretty big company, like head of partnerships from a pretty big company. I just said, look, love what you guys have been doing on LinkedIn. Also, I've been reading the newsletters. Also gave me a little quote from a newsletter, like, loved this bit. So I think reaching out with like a personalized message that shows that you've actually been engaged with the content, and it gets us invested and excited. And like we have one person who's owns a big real estate portfolio, and he's building out courses to teach people how to do real estate. An amazing guy. And I was interacting with him on social media for a period, and then just reached out and he's like, look, Morgan, I love what you're doing, love what Nal's doing, let's just jump on a call. And now he's one of our best clients. And it's just great to see that people are willing to reach out and willing to learn and realize that what we do is actually very valuable, and we're happy to show that value over any period of time, 90 days or plus.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with that. And the biggest objection is, like, we can get a headcount in-house and invest in that one person, and it goes back to the brains versus hands argument. Yes, you could probably hire 2 people in-house, but you're never going to get the brain that we have after spending years doing this and perfecting exactly what we do for 30 plus clients. When they, yes, hire someone in-house, see how it goes, and you're going to get back in contact with us in 3 months and say, do you know what, can you work with that in-house person?
Yeah.
Because you can hire hands, but you can't hire the brain at that price.
Well done, boys. Yeah, I like that a lot. And so that right there, I was pointing you specifically towards essentially making an ad for you guys.
Love it.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that, because, like, gosh, we had this lead, Deb. Do you remember Deb?
Oh my God.
She's essentially like the Gary Vaynerchuk of one city in Texas,
Okay.
but she's so vivacious, intelligent, great public speaker, like very passionate, writes a ton of books. And so, we were talking to her years ago. And, I essentially gave her the pitch, and she was like, she scoffed literally and said, I could hire someone in-house for that and have money to burn. And I said, yes. And how much content are they going to make you?
Yeah.
We're going to do 10 times that, and the quality is going to be out the roof. And there's no way one person can touch what our whole team can bring in. And it amazes me how that doesn't sink into people. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like, content is the name of the game. Like, Gary Vaynerchuk, one thing that I've heard him say multiple times is, right now I make about 100 pieces of content a day. I am underperforming. That needs to be 200 pieces a day. And I think, Jesus, who can pay attention to 200 pieces of content a day, or 100? I had to unsubscribe from him because it was too much. I know his message as well as he does at this point. But that being said, like, what an expert. And he literally has tens of millions of dollars at his disposal, literally has hundreds of people at his disposal to point at this. And the fact that he gets it, and he gets that the more quality that you can put out now, another thing that he says is, I don't want your money right now because I know your attention is going to pay dividends down the road. And it's like, damn, here's a guy that's playing the long game and benefiting from it. I mean, he is at the point, we've seen him launch a couple of his companies, like the shoe company, or he had this like, it's like a add-on to his wine thing where it was like a subscription thing for wine.
Yeah.
And to see him go, I need a CEO and these 2 other things. And he's got 1,000 people saying, I want it. I know a guy. Here's some. Yeah. My God, like, that is real power right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's amazing. I like how you said that more and more influencers, people are starting to see that this is not some sort of magic alien that I can never do. That wall between I could be that and that is starting to come down very slowly. And I think I had this one mentor at the Harbor Entrepreneur Center. She said, I feel like I'm in high school and I'm saying, to the cool kids, you can make me cool? Like, really? You can make me cool? Like, I want to be cool. And she's like, but part of me doesn't even want to say it out loud because it's so stupid. And I've been in business for 20 years and I'm an expert and I know how to do and my company's successful. But still, you're telling me that you can make me cool. And I want to be a cool kid too. And I was like, wow, that is pretty astute. Well, okay. This has been a wonderful interview. You guys have given us more content. It's going to take us months to get all of this to you guys.
10 days.
10 days. Yeah, 10 days. Yeah.